Xbox's latest mess is great news for fans. Xbox takes another W with Activision Blizzard. What's up with the June Game Pass lineup? Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome to Xbox Ready, my YouTube channel that is dedicated to all things Xbox. I come on here 3 days a week to discuss everything that's going on in the Xbox world. I talk games, I talk news, I talk rumors, I bring guests on, I do little tips, I do little tutorials. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, whether you're an old fan of Xbox or you're new to the Xbox family, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. First up, yes, I am wearing a turtleneck, which is not typical like gamer attire, I guess, but I'm getting ready to go to the Diablo 4 launch event in downtown LA, and they said that the dress code was goth chic or come as you are, but I like to try to stay in theme. I'm super excited about it. Y'all know I'm a huge fan of the Diablo franchise. I have been ever since I was a wee little lad. There's apparently going to be a surprise presentation tonight. Pretty sure it's going to be like a new surprise class or something like that. You will already know by the time this video comes out, so don't come at me in the comments. I don't know yet. But yeah, I'm going to be there with Jimmy. I'm going to be posting about it on Instagram. That's like my platform of choice nowadays, I guess. So if you want to follow me there, I'm at State of Ray. But now let's talk about this latest Xbox mess. And this time, I'm not talking about like a disastrous game launch or anything crazy like that. I'm talking about a literal mess. Over on the Xbox Twitter account, they shared a video, which was like a point of view sort of situation. It started with the camera on this Xbox controller that was covered in glitter, and the hand was like, well, what's going on? And then as it looked, there was a trail of glitter leading to the upstairs towards this person's computer, where it had an image of the Xbox Game Showcase logo. Now, I just turned 30 this past week, but here's how I could tell that I am getting old. It's not turning 30, it's when I saw this video that my first thought was, oh man, that's a lot of glitter to clean up, man. It's just a mess. It's gonna get everywhere. That was my realization of like, dang, I'm getting old. But upon further examination of this video, a lot of people were quick to draw comparisons between this literal path of glitter in this person's house and the same mechanic they use in the Fable games, wherein you follow this path of light, a path that is very glittery and shows you to your objectives. And then people are taking it a step further, examining the music that was playing in the background. And it sounds very, very similar to some music that you hear in the first Fable game. It's not the same music that was featured in this video on Twitter, but it's very, very similar. So it has a lot of people hopeful that we're gonna get an update on the Fable reboot come June 11th when they have the Xbox Game Showcase. This would be awesome for a number of reasons. One, they announced this reboot forever ago and we haven't had any firm updates about it. We haven't seen anything else regarding it. When I was a kid and I was playing Fable for the first time, it was blowing my mind, man. I was like, whoa, the choices I make affect my appearance. It affects the world around me. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can marry in this game. I can do all sorts of stuff in this game. And while we don't know for sure if Fable is going to make an appearance at the Xbox Game Showcase, I feel like it has a very, very strong chance. I say that for a number of reasons. Number one, a couple of weeks ago on the Kinda Funny Xcast, Phil Spencer made an appearance. They interviewed him, and Paris Lilly came out and had a question in regards to a lot of these games that we haven't got updates on in a while. He asked about Avowed, Perfect Dark, Fable, Everwild, State of Decay 3, Contraband, Hellblade 2. And then he also asked about Compulsion and In Exile games. And right after that, Phil Spencer was like, yeah, in the showcase, I don't want to like oversell it, but you're going to get an update on some of the games on those lists. Fable is a part of that list, so Fable has a pretty good chance of getting an update in the showcase. And number two, Fable is one of those games that whenever we hear Xbox leadership talk about it, or someone, a very trusted source in the industry, they always mention like, oh, it's a lot farther along than I expected. You know, Xbox leadership, they wanted to show it off, but then the studio was like, no, give us a little bit more time. We know they've been cooking for a little bit and that they have some things to show, so again, it would make sense if it would pop up at the showcase. But this whole thing has got me thinking, okay, what else are we gonna see from the showcase? So I wanted to run down the quick list of things that we know are gonna be for sure, all the way to like things we're probably not gonna see but are on my radar. Starting with things we're definitely going to see, first up is the ROG Ally. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Ally is basically the Windows version of a Steam Deck. It is being touted as the first handheld Xbox. It's made by Asus, or, I never know how to pronounce this company. Some people say Asus, some people say Asus, like me. I don't know. I have an Asus monitor right behind me. Still don't know how to pronounce it. But I know for a fact that this thing, the ROG Ally, is going to have some sort of presence at the Xbox showcase. Now, is it going to have an official spot in the show that everyone's going to see on stream, or is it just going to be like something that people at FanFest can check out? I'm not entirely sure. But we know that it's going to be somehow involved in the day come June 11th. And I think it's a pretty smart move for Xbox to feature this thing in the showcase in some way, especially after Sony came out and showed off Project Q. It is literally like this screen sandwiched in between two like DualSense looking controller bits, and that is only meant to be used for remote streaming. You have to own a PS5 in order to get any value out of this thing. And from my understanding, you can't play other cloud games. You have to stream them from your PlayStation 5. The Ally, on the other hand, is over here promising like, oh, Game Pass on the go, Game Pass natively. You don't have to stream. You can download the games and then take them with you. In terms of accessories, there has been rumblings that they're going to reveal a special edition Starfield Series X controller and headset at some point during the presentation. I assume that's going to be during the Starfield Direct, which takes place after the proper showcase. Now, a few weeks back, we did see a concept of what a special edition controller for Starfield might look like. My gut is that it was fan-made, but the guy posting it was like, no, this is for real. It's a real thing. I don't believe all that. I would rate the appearance of this controller and headset as not a for sure thing, but highly likely. I have no real evidence of this other than the rumors that we've been hearing online. Starfield Direct is supposed to be 45 minutes long, and again, I can't remember off the top of my head the last time Xbox did that for a single game. It's clear that they're going hard on Starfield, building up the hype, rightfully so. And a great way to do that is to put out some really awesome looking controllers and accessories, some really awesome merch. It would be really cool if they had a Starfield Xbox bundle. Maybe the Xbox itself isn't like a full special edition, but it has the game, it comes with the console, it comes with the special edition controller and headset. That would be pretty cool. As for the rest of the games on Paris Lily's list, I would be shocked if we saw anything about Perfect Dark. Everything that we've been hearing about is that they haven't really made any significant ground with that game. It was originally being headed by the Initiative, which was a new studio by Xbox, and then a bunch of people were leaving the Initiative, and then they brought Crystal Dynamics on board to help them out. So I would be pretty shocked if we saw anything about the Perfect Dark remake. Contraband, I can go either way on whether or not they're going to show this game off. Personally, it's pretty low on my priority list. Avowed is another game that I feel like is a prime candidate to make an appearance finally at a showcase for Xbox, which is something I'm very, very excited about. This is apparently supposed to be a fantasy version of The Outer Worlds developed by Obsidian. It's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, which are really awesome games. And as I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the RPG genre. I'm a big fan of fantasy. But I'm also a big fan of Obsidian. They have been quietly releasing really solid, really great games for Xbox over the years, and I feel like they don't get nearly enough credit. I really like The Outer Worlds. I really like Grounded. Granted, it took me a really long time to come around to Grounded, but once I finally jumped in, I was like, okay, this is really, really fun. And a lot of people were like, oh, it was in early access for a really long time. That doesn't count, but it's still a good game. It's still selling very well on Steam, getting really great reviews on Steam as well. Pentiment is a really great game. I know it's not for everyone, but it's really awesome. And all of these games are unique, fresh experiences. All of them are so different from each other. And that's something I really appreciate. Y'all remember new IPs, fresh IPs, not sequels, not reboots, not continuations of franchises that we already know? That's what Obsidian does, man. In terms of what I think they need to show off, I really think we need to get firm release dates or windows for Hellblade 2 and Motorsport. Those are really big question marks going into the second half of 2023. I'm hopeful they're going to come out sometime in the next 6 months. They've been featured pretty prominently in some ad campaigns and some marketing for Xbox and Game Pass recently, so I don't see why they wouldn't be coming out soon, but it would be very reassuring to see them make an appearance at the showcase and get some more information about when they're going to be releasing. I also think they need to have a release date, a release window for Lies of P. For those of you who don't remember this game, it was announced some sometime at like the end of 2022, and it's coming to Game Pass day one. It's a Souls-like game, and I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but this looks kind of like, you know, Dark Souls-ish. But apparently you play as like this twisted version of Pinocchio, and you're killing like these twisted versions of fairy tales. This is a game I know a lot of people are looking forward to, and it'd be really awesome to get more information on when it's coming out, especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber, because again, this game is coming to the service day one. Overall, I think Xbox has a really great opportunity with this showcase. Yes, they've had a rough couple of weeks, but on June 11th, they have a chance for a comeback, a chance for redemption. The Sony showcase was pretty underwhelming. They have an opportunity to be the talk of the game industry with this showcase. This show can go a long way in setting the tone for the second half of 23 and beyond for Xbox fans. Show us some things that are going on in 2024. What do we have to look forward to? Moving on, we have a little bit of an update when it comes to the Activision Blizzard acquisition. It's nothing major, but it is a positive step forward for Microsoft as they try to get this deal approved and sorted out. The South Korean Fair Trade Commission officially approved this acquisition in their market. This is, as far as I know, the third Asian market to approve the deal, following China and Japan. It's not the big approval that Microsoft is looking for, obviously. They're still trying to appeal the UK's decision to block the deal. They're also fighting the FTC in the United States, so they still have all of that going on. However, slowly but surely, Microsoft is getting this deal approved in other nations. Next up, let's talk about Game Pass, specifically what's coming to the service in June. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this is the first time I've seen a Game Pass lineup where I've been like, I'm not interested in any of this. I'm not saying that every edition previously has been awesome, has been bangers, but when they release what's coming to Game Pass at any given time, there's usually at least one thing where I'm like, okay, I'm really into that. For the first half of June, not so much. We got Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Fair World Pioneers, Car Mechanic Simulator, Slayers X, Terminal, Aftermath, Vengeance of the Slayer, and The Big Con. They will then be followed by Amnesia the Bunker, Hypnospace Outlaw, Ruin Factory 4 Special, and Dordone? I don't know how to pronounce this one. But yeah, this is a list of games I'm like, nothing's really sticking out to me here, and I have to ask myself, why? Why is such a weak lineup for the first half of June? And I feel like there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, Diablo 4 is coming out in the first week of June. There is no other game that is going to be anywhere near the level of hype of that game. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a huge fan of the Diablo series. I've loved everything that I've seen when it comes to the early access periods for Diablo 4. So yeah, June is going to be the month of Diablo. It's going to be all Diablo, I guess, until Final Fantasy 16 comes out later in the month. So I don't know if Xbox is trying to fly a little under the radar for the month of June with those games on the horizon. There is also potential, though, that they'll drop something on Game Pass for us to play after the June showcase. We saw them do this earlier this year during Developer Direct, when they were like, yo, look at this cool new game. It's called Hi-Fi Rush. After the show, you can go play it on Game Pass. It would be really awesome if they did something similar for this show, especially with this lackluster kind of lineup for Game Pass. But as I always say, Game Pass giveth and Game Pass taketh away. Sure, we get a bunch of new games onto the service every month, but we also lose some games. Starting on the 15th, you will no longer have access to Bridge Constructor Portal, Chorus, Maneater, Mortal Shell, Serious Sam 4, and Total War 3 Kingdoms. So if you want to play any of those games, if they've been in your backlog, make sure you play them before the 15th, or you can use your Game Pass discount to buy them before they leave the service. You get 20% off. Just because there's nothing really exciting coming for me in the month of June, or at least the first half of June to Game Pass, I did want to talk about a game that has been really awesome for me on Game Pass. The game's called Cassette Beasts, and I've been having a really good time with it. It's basically a twist on the classic Pokemon formula. You catch monsters, you level them up, you battle people, you go around fighting captains instead of gym leaders. And although the formula is familiar, we've all played Pokemon, I'm sure, in our lifetimes, Cassette Beasts' take on the genre is really refreshing, honestly. You play as a custom character that washes up on the shores of a town called New Wirral. It is like this interdimensional place where people just show up. They just show up and they're like, okay, I can't get off this island, so let's just make a community for ourselves. And on this island, there are monsters, there are beasts that you can transform into if you record record them on cassettes. So yeah, instead of capturing these monsters with Pokeballs, you are capturing them with a cassette tape. The beasts or the monsters, whatever you want to call them, are really cool. I like their designs. They're very unique. There's a companion system as well. You could travel around with different people, level up your relationship with those companions. You can even date them, apparently, if you level up your relationship enough. And the stronger your relationship is with that companion, the stronger your fusions become. Yes, you can fuse your monster with their monster to create a new, crazy looking monster. I think that's a really cool mechanic. There's a lot to do. It's very open-ended. They're just like, okay, you're on this new place. Here's some quests. Do them if you feel like it. Go catch monsters if you feel like. You can do your companion quests as well. You can do little favors for the people around town. I became addicted to the Pokemon formula all over again because I was like, oh, I gotta increase my stars, the kind of relationship I have with this cassette beast, so I can evolve it because I want to take on more powerful creatures. But this is one of those games where it's like, it's deceptive. It's like, you think it's like this cute little game, cute little Pokemon game, but then they hit you with these moments that are kind of unsettling, kind of terrifying. You fight these things called Archangels, and I've only fought 2 so far, but the second one was crazy scary. It looked like this like crazy weird Cuphead villain. It was like a puppet master with these like dead crazy googly eye things, and I was like, whoa, where did this come from? Because earlier I was fighting this vampire that wasn't really a vampire. It was like a real estate agent. It was like very silly, kind of quirky, and now I'm fighting this hellish monstrosity. This game has a lot of surprises. Again, I find it very charming, very entertaining. It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. There's even a multiplayer component as well. So if you want a couch co-op experience, you can team up with someone and play Cassette Beasts together. Overall, I highly recommend that you check it out. Even if you're not really into Pokemon as much, totally worth it. Anyways, guys, that's all the news I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another video, and we'll see you in the next one.